Wait for some people to get on quick. What's going on, Khalif? What's up, man? My apologies for getting on a couple minutes late. I'm gonna give it a little bit. If you're watching this pre-recorded video, just skip it like 5 minutes ahead. That's when we're gonna get. Actually, skip it about 7 minutes ahead, more or less. That's when we're gonna get into the topic discussion of this video. As you're tuning in, let me know where you're tuning in from. City, state, whatever. Good to see you guys on here. Hopefully, we get more people than yesterday, and as the momentum builds up, I know Monday through Friday should be pretty interesting. There should be a decent amount of people on because I know it's the weekend, so But let me pull something up here today. I'm gonna pull up this wheel selector thing for the folks that were on yesterday. We're gonna do that giveaway, but then we're gonna do a separate giveaway also. So I'm excited for that. Where we at now? We're at like 2 minutes. Give it a couple more minutes. Oh, from Philly. I used to live by Philly for a little bit. I was there for about 8 months. I lived in Germantown. And I got the names too for you guys. So if you're tuning in, let me know where you're tuning in from. I'm actually just gonna give it 3 more minutes. I don't want to waste too much more time because it is Saturday night. Hopefully more people come on, but probably not since it's Saturday. So I can get right into the topic of this video. I'm excited for today's topic because I believe that this is a topic that isn't spoken about much, or if it is spoken about in the education space when it comes to freight dispatching, if it is spoken about, I don't think it's really elaborated on. I think it's, and I could be wrong, but I think when people explain it, it's very surface level, at least videos that I've seen. So, and to each its own. Everybody has a different flow and a different system and how they do things. But I think this video is actually going to be helpful for you guys. So also, too, I don't know if you're able to, if you're watching it on your phone, if you have like a pen that you can write down some notes, things that you can go back to later. Me personally, I'm not a big note taker, but I was actually watching a video last night of one of my favorite people on YouTube. He's a business coach, and I was actually taking notes because he was dropping too many bombs. I had to like pause it and write down the notes. And so anyways, where are we at right now? Okay, one more solid minute and we'll get right into to the video. Flonique Wisdom, what's going on? Good to see you on here. So we got Flonique, we got Khalif. We're still waiting on Silver Fox Dispatching. There's another Miss C who was driving yesterday, and then Shakidan, something like that. Waiting for them to get on. They were on yesterday. We're gonna do a separate giveaway for them. And then a couple other people said they were gonna jump on. So let's have some fun, man. Let's really dive into this. At the end, we're gonna do another Q&A. This video isn't gonna be as long as yesterday's video. I kind of want to get straight to the point. ORI Freight Dispatch Service, what's going on? Good to see you. I think you were the one that commented earlier that said you were gonna get on. So glad to see you got on here. So, there may not be as many people today on here. Again, it's Saturday. I kind of promoted it very last minute, which makes it better anyways. That means I can be able to just answer questions as they shoot off. I remember one time I was on here, we had like 60 something people on it. It was like one of our first giveaways that we did. And like, I did a Q&A, and it was just too crazy. I was like looking, and I didn't know that YouTube actually has a feature where you could put Q&A at the bottom, give them an option. That would have made it a whole lot easier. I didn't think they had it at that time. But where we at? Okay, we're gonna get this thing started. So for today, right? So for those of you who don't know, if you're watching and you don't know, we're doing a 7-day webinar blitz week. I'm just gonna slam it for the next for the next 6 days, including today. We're gonna cover different topics in all relationship to freight dispatching. Maybe I might do another one at another time for other topics in about trucking, and then invite someone on. There's so many different ideas that I have with this, but we're going to cover a different topic each and every day. And so for today is one of my favorite topics, because we're going to be talking about, yesterday we covered kind of some of the fundamentals, booking loads, all that stuff, paperwork. Then we did a brief Q&A at the end. It was fun. I had a good time. But today I actually want to cover getting carriers. So, this is your bread and butter as a freight dispatcher. You need carriers to make money. The same way real estate agents need to sell homes. You need it. And so you need carriers. That's how you're going to make your money. That's who you're charging to offer services to for dispatching. Now, maybe I'll cover this in one of the topics, but you don't just want to narrow down your services to booking loads. There's so many other things that you can do, and you've heard me say this before, but as a freight dispatcher, you're an administrative rep for that company. Anything that falls under the category of admin work, you can essentially offer that service to them. And if there isn't like an outline service, you can make one up. Like, for example, if the filings, let's say you have a trucking company that wants you to submit their IFTA filings. You can simply go online, find a third-party company, and do it for them. You'll be surprised what people will pay you for you to do something for them that they could easily do, but they'd rather just pay you to do it. And so, yeah, I am going to be leaving this live up. All 7 of them I'm going to leave up. So let's get right into it. So for today, if I had to name it, if I had to give this webinar a title, I'd probably say how to find carriers, basically. Now I could keep elaborating on that title, but basically, in a nutshell, we're going to talk about how to find carriers. Good to see you on here, Miss C. I was waiting for you to jump on. We still got a couple people from yesterday that aren't on yet. I'm assuming they're going to get on later. But yeah, I am going to be leaving this live up. So you want to go ahead and hit the notification bell also, so that you can get alerted for when we go live the next 6 days or the next 5 days. But you can go back and watch this video pre-recorded. So how to find carriers. This is basically your foundation for your company, because this is where you make money. Now I'm kind of looking off to the side here, since I don't have my notes on my notepad today. I got them right here on my computer. So you're gonna see me look to the side a little bit every couple of seconds, just to get out all this information. First of all, let me ask you guys this: who was on here last night? And last night when you were on, did you guys sincerely get something out of that? What we kind of covered yesterday, did you guys get something out of that? I just genuinely want to know. I'm gonna keep doing these every day for the next 6 days or next 5 days after this, anyways. But I'm just curious to see what you guys got out of that, or maybe you watched the pre-recorded video and now you're jumping on. Let me know what you guys think. Stormy J, good to see you. You watched the one from last night. Awesome. So that actually encourages me to keep putting these up. So yeah, yesterday we talked about foundation. We talked about booking loads. We talked about a bunch of different topics at the end with the Q&A. But today I want to get a little bit more deeper into the whole concept of the carrier and dispatcher relationship. Missy says, put a high five, but I have to review it again. So I want to talk about the relationship between a carrier and a dispatcher. So, when you consider the relationship between a carrier and a dispatcher, a lot of times I think people, one of my favorite people I listen to on YouTube, he's a business coach. He always says that wealth is, his definition of wealth is value that you create for somebody other than yourself. And I love that whole concept of how he calculates wealth, because when you go into business with that mindset, you don't go into business with like money, 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 money. Now, obviously, you make money when you start a business. I mean, that's the goal. You want to make money, but it's not like money, money, money. I need money. I need money. I need money. If you just provide value for somebody and it's valuable enough for them, they'll have no problem paying you for that service or that product. And so when you go into any business industry with that mindset, I think you operate from a more transparent, honest, um, uh, integral uh, point perspective. And then when you operate like that, people appreciate you more. So now let's talk about the trucking industry, right? If we're all being honest, and especially some of you who might have already done some dispatching already, you got some experience. I know got some people on here with their company name. You guys understand that like the trucking industry is a very brute industry. And so, within this industry, there's a lot of cursing, there's a lot of name calling, and just a bunch of dumb stuff, just a bunch of unprofessionalism, right? And we talked about this yesterday, but you got to understand, like, as a freight dispatcher, you have to operate at a level, you have to set the standard. Like, now, granted, you can operate however you want, but don't be surprised when you attract those same things. If like if you handle your drivers a certain way, the feedback you're gonna get, the response you're gonna get. Like, for example, if I'm like a grumpy dispatcher and I'm, such and such, why didn't you make it there? You can't effing do this and da 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 da. And you're talking a certain kind of way to them. When you do that, you're gonna get that same thing in response. And I'm not saying this, I'm not really trying to get it on a spiritual perspective, but that's what you're gonna attract. People, you're going to attract those kinds of carriers, because guess what? You're not going to come across somebody who wants a professional business to represent them. They're going to hear you on the way you communicate with them, and they're just going to, find the next person to be able to do it for you, for them. So when you look at the relationship between a dispatcher and a carrier, it's not just somebody that you book loads for, even though that's the service for the most part that you offer them. The carrier that you're dispatching for is someone that you actually develop a relationship with over time. And I'm not talking about like invite them over for dinner relationship, but I mean someone that you genuinely want to see win as much as you want to see yourself win. You get what I'm kind of saying? So when you look at it from that perspective, and you're also looking at it from perspective of I'm creating value for this person. This isn't just like someone I dispatch, but this is actually like my business partner. Because let's face it, for example, you could start off with a carrier that has one truck, right? Let's say you start off with a carrier and that carrier has one truck, and then because you're doing so well for them as a dispatcher, you actually are able to help them build their company. Well, if you do that for them, right, they're going to continue to use your services. And so just by you creating that value for them, you're going to benefit in the long run anyway. So they're not someone that you just dispatch for. They're actually technically a business partner. And that's how you should kind of view it, because when you view it from that perspective, you're not like being grumpy, or you're not like calling them like, oh, where are you at? You're not, you said you would be there in 15 minutes and, kind of getting into that. At the end of the day, we all got bad days and stuff like that. But so understanding that relationship between the carrier and the dispatcher is that they are your business partner. Check this out. This is actually a statistic. Most dispatchers, let me get the right statistic here. Most dispatchers lose carriers within the first 30 days. Why? Because number one, trust, right? If you come off as shady, if you come off as, hey, I got this load for you. I want to book. It's $1,000. Hey, have you? And they ask you like, oh, have you considered? Like, did you look at this? And, oh, no, don't worry about that. Just go pick it up. You just all you're thinking about is money, right? Then you're gonna destroy that kind of that trust that you're supposed to be building with them. Secondly, lack of systems. If you're, there's gonna no matter how you slice it, you're going to come across frustrating situations. You're going to come across situations where the shipper's taking long, the driver's calling you, hey, I've been here for such and such amount of time, and if they don't have a sleeper, then they're just having to sit there in the day cab. They can't just go back in the sleeper. And, then you got to work on getting detention for your driver. So you have to reach out to the broker to reimburse, but then you have to have the the carrier, have the shipper sign the time that they got there, the time they got out, all that stuff, right? There's going to be times where it's going to be overwhelming, or it's like, and so, but that level of professionalism still has to be kept between you and the dispatcher, because that's where your trust is going to come. And then speaking of systems, a lot of times you can actually lessen those frustrating moments if you just have a good system and a good flow. Use the technology that's made available to us, and like stop. A lot of people are like stuck in the 90s or like the early 2000s. We're in the age of technology, and we're starting to, well, not even starting to, we are already in the beginning stages of the age of AI. And so, get up with the times. Get up with the times when it comes to software systems. There's a company actually that I used to partner with, and I still like them, but I don't partner with them anymore in regards to like affiliated marketing. But Smart Hop, and you guys heard me probably talk about Smart Hop with the owner, Guillermo Garcia. He's a great guy. I did an interview with him. I have his video on my YouTube. He's a great guy, but he was telling me about, or maybe it was either him or somebody on his team they were telling me about a system that they're creating where it's basically like an AI dispatcher in a way. And I might be off by a couple of details, but essentially like that's what it is. And I thought to myself, man, that is crazy, but I can see the possibility of it. And so that doesn't mean, like, even with the AI dispatcher, you still need to have somebody in the backgrounds like facilitating it, but it just makes it a little bit easier when you're dispatching. So, and then even a good friend of mine, well, I don't say a good friend of mine, but somebody that I connected with here off of YouTube, his name's Toe Piglet, and how many guys actually know Toe Piglet? Ever came across him? He has a YouTube channel where he would vlog him driving over the road in his hot shot non-CDL truck, and I loved his videos. I used to watch them, but we connected the one time here on YouTube. Him and his brother, I believe, they founded a company called, I think it's called Dispatch Robot or something like that. I don't want to chop that up, but it's something along those lines, but it's AI powered. And so anyways, in saying all that, you want to have a good system, right? You want to have a good system. You don't want to be all over the place and cause frustration because of that. Now, this is still talking about the relationship between the carrier and the dispatcher. Another thing, communication. Got to have pure, good communication with your carrier. For example, there were times where the broker would call me and they'd say, "Hey, look, unfortunately, I'm sorry. Look, we got a delay at the shipper where they're going to pick up. They're going to be sitting there for about 3 hours, right? And but we'll pay detention. Detention's anything after 2 hours. Sometimes they pay after 1 hour. It just depends. But either way, they get reimbursed for that time that they stay there. And so, let's say the broker tells you that, and then you have your driver go to, or the carrier, they go to that location, but you never tell them because you kind of don't want to tell them because you're like, man, if I tell them, they're probably gonna get all mad. But see, if you don't do that, first of all, you're messing up the trust that you have with them, but then you're also, that poor communication can cause so much frustration, and that built up frustration can actually have you fumble something that could have been in the long run good. You want to look at your carriers as like long-term assets for your freight dispatching company. And so I missed the live, but I watched the pre-recorded video. Good information. I appreciate it. Thank you. I'm a driver transferring over. Oh, awesome. Cool. What Flonique, what truck do you drive? Is it a day cab, drive in? What kind of loads do you haul, out of curiosity? And are you a company driver? Anyways, so talking about the carrier dispatch relationship and how that should kind of function. Now I want to talk about 3 different sections, compartments, whatever you want to call it, pillars of carrier acquisition. When I say carrier acquisition, it's just like a fancy term for getting carriers for your dispatch company. So I kind of want to outline this framework for you guys. Number 1 is you want to make sure you target the right carriers. So how do you do that? I can't share my screen. I intended to actually do that because I wanted to function these as webinars so I could share my screen and all that. maybe by tomorrow or at some point in this week, that because we're doing this for 7 days, so we have a bunch of time to cover so much information. I'll be able to share my screen and kind of show you more in depth. But for now, guys, just take notes. If you're not taking notes, go back, watch the pre-recorded video and take notes, because I'm going to drop some links. And I'm going to put the links in the description under this video, anything that I talk about. And if I forget or whatever, email me, let me know. I'll send you over the link, or I'll just update the description. But I want you to write this stuff down, because this is what will help you. So you want to target the right carriers. That's going to play into you getting carriers that are there for the long run versus carriers that are there not for the long run. And I don't know if you guys, anybody on here, has already started dispatching or have done it before or whatever, or doing it at a low scale, mid scale, high scale, whatever. You know that, like, if you're scouting carriers, you're going to come across a lot of box truckers. There's a lot of box truckers out there that want to be dispatched. But another thing you'll find out with these box truckers is, I don't want to say it's hard, but it's definitely more challenging to land a long-term box trucker than it is with other, types of equipment types. Why is that? I mean, it could be a bunch of different things, but I believe one of the main reasons why it is because, when even taking it back to systems, systems being able to book, find good freight for them, and stuff like that. But I think another reason why is because, and I'm kind of losing my train of thought because I want to stick here to this outline and not get off, because we can handle a lot of that in the Q&A. I think one of the reasons, of course, is systems when it comes to box truck drivers. But another reason could potentially be the fact that a lot of them are non-CDL, so they're probably, for the most part, inexperienced in the industry, and they feel like they can handle it and do whatever. But that goes here nor there, right? So let's stick to this. The equipment types that I would say that you want to focus on, and I'm not saying you can't, because at the end of the day, someone has to fill that gap. That's obviously a need within the trucking industry. These box truckers want a dispatcher. So, hey, figure out how to master that and make it happen. But these are the kind of equipment types that I think you should focus on. Oh, here's another thought when it comes to box truck drivers, is because a lot of them, not all of them, but a lot of them are non-CDL, there are certain things that they don't have to, there are certain compliance rules within FMCSA DOT that they don't have to follow, because their gross vehicle weight rating isn't at a certain level. And because they don't have to follow it, a lot of times they'll try to, they're very under the radar. Sometimes you'll see DOT officers messing with them and stuff, especially also hotshot drivers that are non-CDL. But that's just a thought that I was thinking about when it came to them. But you want to target the right carriers. So what equipment type are you looking for? You're going to look for hot shots, dry vans, reefers. We had this hotshot driver at one point. He was with us for, I think, almost a full year. And then I think his truck, his engine blew or something like that. But he was actually, I think he had a Class B or something like that. He was able to haul. No, he did. He had a CDL, hotshot driver, and the dude would gun it. He's very, very good carrier to have for the time that we had him. And I didn't think that a hotshot drivers would be, maybe because I just didn't have as much experience in that. But I had a great experience with him as a hotshot driver. Dry vans, reefers, flatbeds. These are the kinds of trucks that you're looking for, these equipment types, to be looking for when you're going out there scouting carriers. Another thing is you want to run checks on these carriers. How do you do that? There's multiple ways. There's different third-party companies and ways that you could do it. But one of the ways the primary way is there's a website, and it's called SAFER, I think, .web. As a matter of fact, if you literally just go to Google and you type in SAFER snapshot, it should be the first or the second link that pops up under Google. And basically and again, I'll put that link in the description under this video so you can come back and get it. But that link is how you can vet carriers. So you can go on their profile, and then there's a separate link, I'll put that in here too, where you can actually look up their safety You know, if they had any safety violations or any violations at all, you can look at their inspections, all that, right? That helps you vet them. Again, we're still talking about the topic of getting the right carriers. And so the FMCSA has those tools. Again, I'll put them in the link under the description in this video. Another good example that, man, I wish I could, let me see. I wish I could show you guys. How about I'll put the link in the description under this video. If you guys have any, we can talk about it tomorrow or in the Q&A where I can elaborate on it more without getting stuck on that particular section. But in these tools on the FMCSA website, you can actually see their safety ratings, all those things that you want to look for, and you don't want to get like super picky when it comes to those things. As long as they have a satisfactory scoring, you know, you don't want to be like a Karen about it and not dispatch them just because it's, you know, because at the end of the day, it's not going to affect you as a dispatcher anyways. Is that it? That's just, as a dispatcher, looking for those kinds of things is just kind of allowing you to analyze the situation and say, okay, is this person going to be complicated? Is this person going to be worth setting up with our company, so on and so forth. And so you want to do that. You want to vet them. The second point that I want to reach out, the second section of the point, is strategies that work out when you're reaching out to onboard these carriers. You want to make sure that you're crafting, like, let's say you're cold calling, or maybe you're not a cold caller, but you get a cold calling list and hire someone to cold call. You want to have a good script, right? So that script that I'm talking about, whether it's one that you come up with, whether it's one that, you know, we give you a template for, you want to have something that relays basically gets straight to the point, right? I see people commenting. I'm just getting started. I completed your online training. I plan next week to start looking for carriers. So this is great. Awesome. That's awesome. ORI. Dahmer says, bro, I can work as a dispatcher, but I'm from another country, not the USA. I have a YouTube video talking about that. I can from another country. Yeah. I'll try to put the link for that video in here, but if you Google it, Dahmer, there's a video on YouTube where I have breaking down if you're from another country, you know. Anyways, so you want to make sure you have a good script for when you call, if you're cold calling, especially if you're calling for the first time, or if you're like me, I don't like to call, you know, a good email outline when you send them emails and do email blasts and stuff like that. Because what that's going to do is it's going to build that trust, that first impression. At the end of the day, every first impressions are inescapable. You're going to either come off as like scammy, or you're going to come off as reliable or professional, and desirable to work with, or you're just not, right? There's no real in between. But the goal is you want to make sure that you're emphasizing to them that you're going to make them money. You want to make sure that you're letting them know, like, hey, I can make you money. They have to be confident in the fact that you can do that for them. Otherwise, they have no business signing up with you. And so you want to make sure you have those things, a good script, a good outline, something that you're going to say to them that it's going to build immediate trust fast when you're going to onboard them. Lastly, when it comes to that, onboarding, when you're onboarding your carrier and you're booking them for their first load. Me personally, I have on my carrier packet when I onboard carriers. Valeno, who just asked that question, how do I subscribe to DAT? At the end of the video, we'll do a brief Q&A, and we can get into all that. I'm going to finish up this outline real quick. These notes that I have here that I believe will help you guys out. So when you're onboarding, like on my carrier packet, I have a list of lanes like you don't want to be in, lanes that you prefer. What's your target rate per mile when it comes to like your particular niche or your equipment type, or the region that you're in. You know, I have questions like, what don't you like? What companies, freight brokerage companies maybe that you've had bad experiences with that you don't want to deal with? Certain things that just makes it more comfortable when they're getting ready to work with you. You want to have those things outlined so that they know. And that's just a suggestion. That's not like you have to have it. It's just a suggestion. It's something that you might want to have if you're dealing with, somebody that's going to be that you're looking to be in the long haul with you and as a business partner, like I mentioned in the beginning. You also want to show them how to set up expectations, communication flow, payment terms. You want to have all those things outlined. You want to have those all outlined in your carrier packet, which I don't know if you guys saw my video on YouTube that I posted a couple days ago, but I was talking about how I was talking about the difference between if it's legal or not, or not the difference, but if it's legal or not to be a freight dispatcher. Well, one of the main arguments is that as a freight dispatcher, you kind of operate as a freight broker without a license, which isn't true. And if you go on the FMCSA, I think they revised it last year, was their last revision. And then on Freight Waves, they released an article, but they have like 5 or 6 different things that as long as you don't do those things, you can operate within the capacities of a freight dispatcher. But it all boils down to the definition of a bona fide agent. And I'm just explaining this really quick because, this is why you have to have a carrier packet. So this is why it's tying into that. And the carrier packet's where you want to communicate all this information so that you build a trust with the carrier. And so the definition of a bona fide agent is someone who basically does day-to-day, tasks for that particular company. And some of the main things you can't do with a pre-existing agreement. That's what a bona fide agent is. So, if I'm hired as an employee, that pre-existing agreement would be the application. I'd be under them as a W-2 employee. If I'm just a independent contractor, then an independent contractor or a carrier packet, how most of us would know as the term, that would be your legal pre-existing agreement, which would label you as a bona fide agent, which would put you well within your legal rights to dispatch. Now, in saying all that, that's where you want to have these things all outlined, like so that their first experience of you booking them a load isn't like, all over the place and it's detailed and you book them what they like. I remember I was dispatching for this guy and he had like 5 trucks, man, and he's a great guy and everything, but he had a driver that was very, very complicated dispatching for, because like I'd book a load and he'd be like, well, I don't like that and stuff like that. And so, some people they're just gonna be complicated either way. But there were some things that I did on my end that I could have just been like, well, I get why he was getting frustrated in that certain situation. But which, by the way, if you're just tuning in, towards the end, we're almost going to wrap up. We're going to do a brief Q&A. So if you have any questions, we'll get into that. So you want to have all those things outlined in your carrier packet. Number 4 is retention. So you want to obviously turn one carrier into 5 or more months of income, right? So let's get into that. So one of the ways you build trust and loyalty with your carrier is through consistency and then weekly recaps. This is something that I don't know if other people do this, but I absolutely have this in our online course. And even if we do mentorship, I have this in that, where I offer a weekly report template. So I use Google. I use Google. What's the thing? Google Sheets. I use Google Sheets to put it together, right? Where you're putting the rate per mile, you're putting like, the broker, basically a lot of the load information, letting them know how they did for that particular week, right? Using the Google Sheets just is an ineffective or inexpensive way to do it, but obviously you can use more advanced systems that would be able to break it down if you put the information in and all that. I just use that because it's like you don't have to put much information in, so you can kind of do it manually. But what I would do is whenever I would invoice, I would actually attach that sheet in a PDF form to their invoice so they can see what got booked, how much was the rate per mile for that, what are the details on that load, like was something damaged or whatever, anything that happened within that load, it's booked on there. Did they get invoiced? Did they get factored for that load? Yada, 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 right? And so you want to make sure you do stuff like that because, again, you're building trust. And through continuing to do that, you're also building like a consistent, you're building like a consistent flow with them where they're like, okay, I know I can see in this weekly report what actually happened, because sometimes you'll deal with carriers that they actually don't drive the trucks. They have drivers for their trucks. And so, if you're dealing with a person like that, you're not actually dealing with the driver. So you're dealing with the business owner. And so, you want to show them what's going on in their business. And you want to treat each carrier basically it's like a big account. So let's just say let's say on average, right? You get, okay, let's say one carrier, right? Let's say one carrier brings in, on average, I'm just saying, they have weeks off or they have days off, they get sick, whatever. Let's say you're dealing with a carrier and they gross on average 5,000 a month, 5,000 a week. And again, that's average. So that'd be 20,000 a month, and that'd be 110,000 every year. That means that one carrier has the potential to bring in gross 110,000 a year. Now, obviously, that's not what you're getting paid, because you're charging a percentage of that. But that's still a high level account, and that's how you got to view it. This one carrier can potentially, I can gross him 100,000 or more every year, and then let's say I charge 8%. 8% of 100,000 would be 8,000, right? So am I right? Let me actually make sure I'm right. That should be easy math right there. Yeah, right, guys. 8,000, right? 100,000. Yeah, 8,000. So that one driver would be 8,000, right, for the year. And then obviously the more carriers you get, the more they'd accumulate. So anyways, you got to view it that way is what I'm basically getting at. And so, because if you do, then you start to take it more serious instead of treating them kind of like just someone that you dispatch by week to get money out of. I want to talk about a few common mistakes that happens in the area of getting carriers, right? Acquiring carriers. Number one, there's a myth that it's like you need all these carriers. Like, let's say, oh man, I need 10, 15, 20 carriers in order to have a 6-figure year. I just made a video on YouTube dropping a visual on the whiteboard showing how you can actually just do that with like 5 to 6 carriers on and off. You can build a 6-figure dispatch business easily with just 5 to 6 carriers, maybe even less, depending. There was a guy, I wonder, man, I have his number. He took our course, and some of you guys might actually remember him from the mentorship program if you were in that. His name's Brian, awesome guy. And he took the course, and then he started dispatching trucks, and I forgot what they were hauling, like logs or something like that. And he was getting paid really good money because the loads paid really good. So the higher the gross that you're getting for your carrier, then the more you're getting paid because you're charging a percentage of that. But then there was another guy who he was hauling I think it was 3 trucks. And they were all hauling heavy duty, or like heavy load, like heavy width. And like, you ever seen those drivers on the highway, those truckers on the highway where they have to have escorts from the front and the back because their freight is so large? He was hauling for someone like that, or dispatching for someone like that. And I mean, these guys would have like $12,000 to $15,000 weeks, based on the freight, because it pays so much. And he was dispatching for them, and he was charging, like, at the time, 10%. So he was getting paid pretty good. And so you figure if you got like 3 or 4 guys like that, you can have like 3 of those guys and easily clear a 6-figure year. So that's myth number one, that you have to have a lot of carriers. You could be steady with just 3, and you'd be steady. Other myth, it's hard to find drivers. I believe it's a myth, because in the age of information and advertisement and where we're in right now, it's all about just getting your services in front of the face of a carrier. That's really what it boils down to. You could do it Stony Age style by going to the truck stops and stuff, and there's nothing wrong with that. Obviously, you want to utilize every avenue, but if you can master, not even master, if you take advantage of ads, running ads, but not just any ads, effective ads. We actually talk about this on my course, and we have 2 sections of my course: the fundamental side, but then the carrier acquisition, where breaking down how to run ads and all types of stuff like that, right? So you want to make sure you take advantage of that because I believe that's a myth that there's no carriers out there. I need an expensive system, thinking that you need like a certain kind of computer or whatever. The main thing is you want to have a laptop or a computer that has a decent processor, like so you're not on the low boards and you know your things refreshing like every 5 minutes. You want to make sure you have a decent processor. That way, you're not it's not affecting your workflow or anything like that. So how about this, right? Because that's basically the outline, but obviously some of you guys might have direct questions. Let's do a brief Q&A, and then I am going to do a giveaway. I'm going to do 2 separate giveaways because yesterday we didn't get to finish that one. So if everybody is here from yesterday, I'm gonna do your guys' one first, and then the other one I'll do right after that. But let's get into Q&A. First of all, did you guys get anything out of so far what I just kind of laid out? Let me know what you guys think, but also let me know what kind of questions you guys have. I know some of you guys were asking questions while I was kind of talking, and I wanted to wait towards the end. But let me know what you guys think. Talk to me. What kind of questions you guys got? And also, there might be a little, and if you're watching this pre-recorded video, let me know your thoughts in the comment section as well. All right. All right. Okay. Okay. Let me get to Khalif right here. He just asked something. Okay. First 2 weeks, free trial, ongoing percentage, model months 1 to 3 after trial. After that 2-week trial, 4% of gross load revenue months 4 to 6, and then after that 5% month 7, 8. Okay. So I'm assuming that's your outline for like something to pitch to carriers. I don't think it's a bad idea. Here's what I would do though, different, Khalif, as something that you can kind of and again, do how you want to do it. But I would probably tweak it where I wouldn't do 2 weeks. I wouldn't even probably do a full week. I would probably say like first couple days, maybe like first 3 loads, or narrow it down to loads versus time. And the reason why is because unfortunately, you'll find out people are messed up. Basically, best way to put it. You'll come across people that'll be like opportunists, possibly. I feel like you'd come across more people like that than you will actually people that will stick and land. You might come across people that'll just utilize it for those 2 weeks and then keep it kind of pushing, On the flip side to that, if they're with you for those 2 weeks and you do a really good job, they might also stick with you too. So it's a hit or miss, but it plays more against you than it does for you if it doesn't work out. You know what I mean? So what I would say is I would do a couple days, like or your first couple of loads. Like, okay, we'll dispatch your first 3 loads, so you can get a feel for how we do it. And then when it comes to percentage, I think that model is not bad. Like the only thing I would probably tweak is the first 2 weeks portion of it, but then the month 1 to 3, month 4 to 6, and then 7 and onward. I think that's a good model. I don't see nothing wrong with that. But the first part of it is the only thing I'd probably tweak when it comes to that outline. But I think that's a great model. D says, one of my first trucks was a power only. We did pretty good utilizing load out trailers, but I found that power is a little more work to keep loaded. What's your opinion on power only? Yeah, I mean, are you using a load board to get those power onlys? The trouble I had with power onlys, at least at the time when I was dispatching for this truck, was finding stuff consistent, and then also finding loads that were worthwhile. Now, here's the good thing about power only is that if you land a good contract or lane, their power only loads are very consistent, and especially if you can get a carrier. There was this one carrier I was trying to help him get all his credentials right so that he could be picked from the rail. Because if you can get them in the rail, it's very consistent, and you can make a lot of money because it's very consistent. But but I think power onlys are great. I know a lady who she only dispatches for power only. She loves it. That's her niche. You know, the brokers that she deals with, they have ton of power only freight. Kasan says more info on recruiting and advertisement. Yeah. So advertisement, you want to take advantage of Facebook advertisement, Instagram advertisement, Google ads, and you don't want to have like an old school looking flyer. You want to have a flyer that outlines, number one, the pain point. Like, what's the pain point? Are you a driver? You're tired of dealing with crappy dispatchers. You're on the road, and you just want you want a reliable whatever the pain point. Usually that's the pain point for owner operators, and you want to make more money or whatever. You want to outline a very clear pain point, and you don't want to have the flyer looking old school. Like, you want to make it stand out, be kind of colorful, not like Nickelodeon colorful, but like colorful enough to where it stands out. And then utilize Google Ads on your website. Optimize your SEO, so search engine optimization. You want to have certain words. Maybe even hire like a freelancer to deal with the SEO for your website. But you should have a website for sure. But that's what I would say when it comes to advertisement when you're recruiting carriers. Should you offer 3 different pay services like percentage, flat rate, or subscription? That's a good question. I would start off with percentage per gross. Then as you build reputation and as you build like a rapport with your carrier, or like as a freight dispatcher, then you could charge like a flat rate fee. There's the guy I was talking about, Toe Piglet. I just saw a video of his not too long ago where he said he's charging $350 a month as a flat rate, and so, but he has like an AI powered system that he uses, which would reduce, I'm imagining, the amount of work he'd have to do. So that's what he charges personally, which is flat rate. I would recommend that you do percentage to start off, and then maybe you can graduate into flat rate. But I wouldn't do subscription personally. Do you think 10% is too high to charge clients, even if you offer 24-hour dispatch service? Yeah, I think 10% in this economy is a little bit too much personally, but maybe you can make it work, if you can pitch to them why they're paying that much. The first guy I ever was getting ready to onboard as a carrier, he actually complained about that first. Like, oh, why? Because he was like, oh, there's guys overseas, like in the Philippines and Russia, and they're charging like Khalif says, good idea. Thanks for the advice. Yeah, no problem, my friend. What do you think about charging 10%? Okay, I answered that one. Oh, and then dropping it after 2 to 3 months. That's not terrible. That's not terrible, but I think if anything, flipping that around would probably work out a little bit better. You charge more as you build reputation. I was using SmartHop. D. Oh, that's awesome. D. Elaborate a little bit, because I haven't. Are you still using SmartHop, D? Stormy J. Where do you suggest we run ads? Instagram, Facebook, Google Ads. I would do it in this order: Google Ads, Facebook, Instagram. Kasan Simmons says, got it, thanks. And I would also work on your website's SEO, so search engine optimization. I would definitely work on that. How about this? Let's get right. You guys still hear me? Can you hear me? Can you still hear me? You can't hear me? Wait, you can't hear me, or you can hear me? Okay, cool. You guys can hear me. Cool. Yeah, I don't know what happened. My fault. My fault. Let's do these giveaways real quick. Let's do these giveaways. So there's the first one's gonna be quick, right? I'm gonna use this spin wheel. For the name selector. So all right. So I only got for the first one that we did yesterday. We're gonna do a giveaway, guys. So stick with me. Flonique, if I'm saying that right, or Flonique. If I'm hopefully I'm not saying that wrong. Silver Fox. Silver Fox, name of your company. Shatikin, is he on? Is he or she on here? Shatik in, if I'm saying that right. Khalif, I know he's on here for sure. Just talking to him on the live. And then Miss C. Miss C, I know you're on here, right? I could have sworn I saw you earlier. Flonique, are you? So we got Flonique, Silver Fox, Shatikin, Khalif, and Miss C. Are you guys on here? Because I'm getting ready to do the first giveaway for you guys. Because we're spinning up on about, close to an hour on here. All right, cool. Let's do it. So this giveaway is gonna be, what do you guys say? Because I was gonna do a cash giveaway. Do like $50. We could do a $50 giveaway. We could do the course. Which one you guys think? We could do a $50 giveaway. We could do a course. Talk to me. $50 could probably pay for like maybe a subscription or something, or I don't know, like food or something. I don't know. The majority, whatever the majority is, whoever for the majority. Okay, everybody's saying okay. Course. Silver Fox says 50. Silver Fox says 50. My light just is messing up here. Course. Okay. Yo, I apologize, guys. My light always right towards the end goes crazy. It's all messed up. Okay, that's a good point. Silver Fox says, "Let the winner pick." I'll just do that. I'll let the winner pick. Good point. All right, I'm gonna spin the wheel here. Let me see if I can show you guys. There you go. Can you guys see that? All right, I'm gonna go ahead and spin it. I'm gonna pick a winner. Okay, Miss C, is she on here? Miss C. Miss C. I could have swore I saw her on here earlier. Is she on here? Miss C, are you on here? You guys still here with me? Is Miss C on here? That's the one who won. All right, I'm gonna keep it going. I don't see her on here. Cool. You guys ready? Put I'm ready in the chat so I know you guys can hear me and everything. Okay, everybody's ready. Let's do it. Oops. Shatikin. Did I even spell that right? Shatikin. 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 Man, how did it pick the only people that aren't on here? Okay, if that person's not here, we're just gonna spin it again. That's what I'm saying. Uh, yeah. All right, I'm gonna just spin it again. That's funny how the first two people. Flonique was the one that. Oh God, that was my fault. Oh yeah, Flonique's right there. Here she is. I was like, wait, isn't that the one that we just spin and it didn't go? All right, Flonique. What did you decide? You wanted the chorus? Let me know what you want to do. Okay, course. So here's what I want you to do, Flonique. Shoot me an email. I'm gonna put the email in the description under this video. It's gonna be courses at covenantdispatchllc.com. Shoot me your email so I can send you over the link. But congratulations. I feel like you're gonna really enjoy the course. I want to say this too before we do the second giveaway is that we do have an online course. A couple people in here took it. They were talking about it earlier. We do have an online course. It is currently on sale. It's 197 right now. It literally breaks down. Someone asked me the other day. They sent me an email. They said, "What does it cover?" It covers literally everything I can imagine. The fundamentals, how to get carriers, running ads, how to structure the ad. You know, there's a section on there with an expert in SEO marketing. His name's Mike Shu. He breaks down SEO marketing, you know, briefly gets into Google ads, all that good stuff, right? Website, all that stuff, right? There's templates in there, all that. Our course right now is currently on sale. So we'll put the link for that in the description under this video as well. And then we also have a free training. Maybe you say, I don't know if I want the course right now. Cool. Download the free training. Maybe the free training will help you out. And you can juggle between that and the YouTube videos. But I did want to say that because sometimes people ask and they'll email me. So we do have our course right now on sale. We call it the Freight Dispatch Blueprint Package because it's a package. It comes with the fundamental side and it comes with the carrier acquisition side. And so we have it on sale. There is this $15 monthly subscription payment to keep access to the course because it's a ton of information, ton of videos, ton of minutes within those videos. I'll probably say like at least 5 hours worth, if not more, of content where just breaking down everything. So that all that information is going to be in the description under this video. We're going to also put the link for our free training and then contact information. Follow us on Instagram. If you're not following us on Instagram, we will be back on tomorrow. We're going to hit this thing for 7 days straight. So yesterday was the first day. Today was the second. We're going to do it until Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time every night. And so I look forward to continue to do this. Tomorrow we're going to cover a different topic. It's going to be different, of course, better in my opinion. I feel like it's going to be a better topic. Today's topic I liked because I feel like it's the most talked about one, or like I'm going to say talked about, but the most crucial topic, you know, getting carriers. So anyways, let's get, I want to say this too. And my phone is literally, I don't know. I should just have done it through my laptop, but my phone's on 2%. If it does cut off, guys, we will pick up and do this tomorrow. So if you were looking to get for a giveaway, we'll pick it right back up on the next one tomorrow. As a matter of fact, let's just probably do that. I'm on 2%, and I know it's gonna cut off, so I don't want to waste anybody's time. Tomorrow we're gonna be back on here at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're gonna have to do it again with the double giveaway since we couldn't finish the one from today. But we're doing $50 or a course. You know, the winner can pick. I like how Silver Fox said that. The winner can pick whichever one. Invite someone you know is interested in this field, this industry. Have them jump on. I have a lot of fun getting on here with you guys. But I am going to keep this live up so you can go back, check it out, watch the rerun. Maybe it'll help you out. Write notes, take notes, all that good stuff. Again, we have a sale on our dispatch course. The link's in the description under this video for that. We have a link for a free training. All of our contact information. Give us a follow on Instagram. But I had a lot of fun tonight with you guys. To Flonique, sent me an email, and then I'll send you the link for that. And we'll go ahead and we'll just do that. So I wish I could have done it. My phone literally might die any second. So, but great tactic, taking notes. What tactic did you like, Stormy? I might as well talk to you guys till the wheels fall off here. Was it a tactic that we talked about today, or? Yeah, the email's going to be courses@covenantdispatchllc.com.